Ladies and gentlemen, reinfections are very common in America, but America has made an effort not to track reinfections. And if you notice, they don't talk about this in the media. They keep this kind of buried. And we don't know how many people in the country have been reinfected by COVID-19 from the beginning when we found out about this virus all the way up until now. But there have been many. The US have just decided to bury the whole thing because I guess if you put this out, then people will know it's far worse than anything they ever told us, which I know it is. I know how these people are. So this is NBC, and COVID reinfections may be more common than realized. Why isn't the US tracking them? Because they don't want to actually see how bad they are failing in this entire thing. So this is February 7th, 2021. So, ladies and gentlemen, in the beginning, they talk about a woman that traveled to Florida to visit her father. Now, she had COVID and fully recovered and took a test and was tested negative and everything. And after a trip to Florida to visit her father, she came back up positive. She lost her sense of taste and smell and suffered lingering headaches and fatigue. She tested again positive for COVID along with her cat. So it was a clear case of reinfection and not some mysterious reemergence of the original virus. So because the coronavirus, like other viruses, regularly mutates, it multiplies and spreads through a community. A new infection would bear a different genetic fingerprint because neither the lab had saved this person's test samples for genetic sequencing. They won't do genetic sequencing in this country like they do over in the UK and many other countries. Over here, they're very poor at doing that. And I think they could catch a lot of the variants that are coming in if they did more genetic sequencing, but they simply won't do it. So without genetic sequencing, there is no way to confirm her suspicion. So as millions of Americans struggle to recover from COVID-19 and millions more scramble for protection offered by vaccines, the U.S. health officials may be overlooking an unsettling subgroup of survivors, those who get infected more than once, identifying how common reinfection is among people who contracted the COVID-19, as well as how quickly they become vulnerable and why, carries important implications for our understanding of immunity and the nation's effort to devise an effective vaccination program. Scientists have confirmed that reinfections after the initial illness caused by SARS-CoV-2 virus are possible. Okay. Now, they're saying that there are cases, but like they said, if you're not tracking these cases on a regular basis, then there's no way you can say it's not that much in the country. You're not tracking nothing. But this is what they're pretty much saying. These scientists are saying that it's rare. How do you know it's rare if you're not tracking it? Okay, you're not tracking nothing, but you're sitting in our faces telling us it's rare? Come on now. It sounds rather like an insignificant number. No. So they're saying it's rare, it's small, it's an insignificant. That's not true if you didn't track nothing. But scientists understand reinfection has been constrained by the limited number of U.S. labs that retain COVID-19 testing samples or perform genetic sequencing. So there's no way you can sit around saying it's rare then. If you know they're really not testing for it, they're not tracking it, they're not doing anything, no genetic sequencing, no nothing, then how can it be rare? The way sometimes these people talk to the public, it is just mind-boggling. Can you imagine we've been dealing with this stuff for years? Oh, well, that's rare. Well, did you test for it? No. Did you track it? No. Okay. Whew, these people are something else. Okay, KHN review of surveillance efforts find that many states aren't even tracking or investigating suspected reinfections. So they're saying right now, none of these states, all 50 states, are got any type of surveillance, including the District of Columbia, for reinfection. Of 24 responses, fewer than half provided details about suspected or confirmed reinfection cases. And we certainly know mainstream news is not touching this subject at all, where officials said they're actively monitoring for reinfection. They have found far more potential cases than previously anticipated. Yeah, I bet you it is very common. The state of Washington, for instance, the health officials are investigating 700 cases that meet the criteria for possible reinfection, with dozens awaiting genetic sequencing and just one confirmed. In Colorado, officials estimate a possible infection that makes up to 0.1% of positive coronavirus cases, but with more than 396,000 cases reported, that means nearly 400 people may have been infected more than once. Minnesota officials have investigated more than 150 cases suspected reinfection, but they lack the genetic materials to confirm a diagnosis, a spokesperson said. In Nevada, there were, the first case of COVID reinfection was identified last summer. And they said there is no doubt that the cases are going undetected. I predict that we are missing cases of reinfection, he said. They are very difficult to assert, so you need specialized teams to do that work, or a core lab. Cases are different from instances of so-called long-haul COVID-19, in which original infection triggers debilitating symptoms that linger for months. Okay, so hey, they're not checking for anything. Reinfection occurs when a person is infected with COVID-19, clears the strain, and is infected again with a different strain, raising concerns about suspected immunity from the disease. Such reinfections occur on a regular basis, with 4 other coronaviruses circulating among humans, causing common colds. Well, we don't even know, because if the UK is detecting 400 variants, the US really can't claim that there's only 5. You didn't even test for any other variants. You're not testing for nothing. Again, America's attempt to bury things. The Center for Disease Control and Prevention guidelines calls for investigating possible reinfection when someone tests positive for COVID-19 at least 90 days after the original infection, or at least 45 days of highly suspicious cases. Confirmation of reinfection requires genetic sequencing of paired samples of each episode to tell whether the genome involved is different. But the US lacked the capacity for robust genetic sequencing, the process that identifies the fingerprint of a specific virus so it can be compared with other strains. The head of the federal COVID task force noted last month that the US ranked 43rd in the world in genomic sequencing. That is pretty pathetic. 43rd? Wow. Okay, so now America, you know why you're not getting a grip of this thing. You don't even want to test for this stuff. You don't want to track it. You don't want to do nothing but sit around whining about, all of these surges in the country. But other than that, you're not doing anything. So to date, only a fraction of positive coronavirus samples have been sequenced. Through the Biden administration is working to rapidly expand the effort. On February 1st, the director of the CDC told reporters that sequencing has increased tenfold in the recent weeks, from 251 sequences as of the week of January 10th to 2,238 the week of January 24th. The agency is working with private companies states and academic labs to ramp up to 6,000 sequences per week by mid-February. Now, y'all think about this. We went through our first lockdown March 2020, right? And they're just getting around to genetic sequencing in 2021. You know how far behind we are? Not we, but they are, because I don't run the government. You know how far behind they are as far as other countries being far ahead. They've been doing it all along, and America is just getting around to doing this now. Bad luck, America. Bad luck. Okay. Washington State epidemiologist for communicable diseases, Dr. Scott Lindquist, said officials have prioritized genetic sequencing at the state laboratory with plans to begin genotyping 5% of all samples collected. That will allow officials to sort through nearly 700 potential reinfections, Lindquist said. More important, the effort will also help signal the presence of significant mutated forms of coronavirus known as variants. That could affect how easily the virus spread and perhaps how sick COVID-19 makes people. Those two areas of reinfection and variants may cross paths, he said. We wanted to be in front of it, not behind it. Well, you are behind it, whether you like it or not. You know, it would be nice if these people would just stop talking a good game and get some work done. But I know that's asking for a lot, isn't it? But y'all, please tell me what you think about how America has been burying the amount of people that are getting reinfected in the country. Please leave your comment and subscribe. Don't forget to hit on the notification bell, and I'll see you on the next video. Peace, family.